glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. Really excited for this news update show. Lots of good news coming from Santa Clara, San Francisco 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan talking about a lot of players. And one of those players right off the bat that we have to talk about, and that's why he made it onto the thumbnail, is Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel could practice as early as tomorrow, Thursday, and the 49ers could start working Deebo Samuel back into the mix as a part of this offense. And does that mean he's going to play against the Las Vegas Raiders? No, that's not what it means. What it does mean, he's on the right track. He's trending in the right direction. Deebo Samuel went from, oh no, he could be out for the season, to he's going to be back before the end of the regular season. Does that mean he takes snaps against Arizona? I think it's too early to be able to tell, but it's good news that he's on his way back to practice, and his availability for the playoffs seems to be absolutely yes. He's going to be available for the playoffs, for the wild card round. If the 49ers play in the wild card round, he'll be ready to go. That is great news for the San Francisco 49ers. Getting another weapon for Brock Purdy, getting another piece for Kyle Shanahan to be able to use in his offense. And we already know when it comes to the brightest moments and those big times, that's when Deebo Samuel shines the best. Now, in the quarterback room, Kyle Shanahan gave a little bit of an update on Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, has the cast off. He's still not able to put full pressure on it. He's wheeling around on a little bit of a cart to make sure he keeps the foot healthy and ready to go. So no real update on where Jimmy is or how long it's going to take until he's able to perform football activities. But Kyle Shanahan said he's in the training room. Everything's progressing as they expected. So Jimmy Garoppolo's availability for the playoffs is up in the air. But still, there is an outside chance Jimmy could come back. In what capacity, we don't know. Could he be the backup for Brock Purdy? Could he be there in case something happens? I think that is the hope and belief that Jimmy Garoppolo could help benefit this team at some point if needed. Now, more good news. Elijah Mitchell, he's going to probably have his practice window open here pretty soon. Kyle Shanahan saying he was on track and could potentially be ready for the Arizona game. So Elijah Mitchell, his practice window should be open. Kyle Shanahan had mentioned earlier this week, maybe by Friday. If that's the case, he'll get into practice, and then next week he could be going full speed and be able to play with the team against Arizona as they look to gear up and get ready for a first round matchup against whoever that may be. It's going to be huge news. That would also be the 8th and final IR designation that they're able to use, which means that would officially put the season end to Trey Lance, which, I mean, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have been pretty steadfast on the fact that Trey Lance wasn't going to be able to come back, that the injury was just too significant for him to be able to battle back and play. But if Elijah Mitchell is to be activated, the practice window doesn't do it, but he is activated and put back on the 53-man roster. In that scenario, that would end the season officially for Trey Lance. But the 49ers will be getting a huge piece in Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell was playing really well when he came back from injury. Now, it didn't last long. It was something explosive. He was on the scene. Him and Christian McCaffrey were becoming one of the best 1-2 punches, if not the best in the entire league. But along the way, Elijah Mitchell suffered another MCL sprain. So it's one of those things where we're going to get him back. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy through a playoff run, because if he is, 49ers running back room goes from really good to really great, because now you have two, definite number one running backs with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, and Jordan Mason's hanging out back there saying, hey, don't forget that I slammed the door on other people's hopes and dreams. And that's what he does for a living right now, is he just takes, a hold of games and finishes them off in those 4-minute drills. So Elijah Mitchell coming back, great news for the San Francisco 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan gave an update on defensive tackle Kevin Givens as well. Givens has been out with a knee sprain. They always thought it wasn't as significant as some of the other knee sprains. 49ers have dealt with a lot of MCLs this year, MCL sprains, and those have been a real problem. But Kevin Givens is on track to be ready to go for the playoffs, according to Kyle Shanahan. So that's good news for the 49ers. getting another rotational piece, back in the lineup and ready to go when it comes to playoffs, when you have to be able to stop the run and you have to be able to bother opposing quarterbacks. And a slasher and a penetrator like Kevin Givens is one of those guys you could use on that defensive front. Another guy who you could use on the defensive front is Javon Kinlaw. And Kinlaw missed practice on Wednesday, but Kyle Shanahan says that was the plan all along. So this was always the plan for him to miss the Wednesday, but then go full on Thursday. So he's going to go full on Thursday, and then we'll keep an eye on Javon Kinlaw. But his snaps in the game against the Commanders were significant. He made an impact on a couple of really big plays, including the fourth down stop at the goal line. So Javon Kinlaw progressing in the right direction. Hopeful that he's going to be able to continue this through the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs where the 49ers could really use his abilities. He's a big time player, and it's good to see things are working out and being able to be managed for him. More defensive line help, Kerry Hyder. Hyder has been dealing with an ankle sprain. He played on a short week against Seattle, made sure that he helped the 49ers beat his former team, and then he took a week off. He was not able to go against the Commanders. 49ers brought up players from the practice squad, went with 5 interior defensive linemen to be able to stop the run. But now Hyder is back at a limited role at practice and looking like he's going to be able to play in the game this week against the Raiders. So Kerry Hyder adds a lot of versatility. He can play on the outside as a DN or play inside as a defensive tackle. There's not very many hybrid guys like that can not only stop the run on the outside, but on the inside as well. And Kerry Hyder's one of those guys, and he's been a nice chess piece for Chris Kacerek as he continues to move these pieces around and help get favorable matchups for Armstead, Ebukam, and Bosa, but also to be able to stop the run and have a nice rotation so none of these players get tired. It's been very nice to see what Kacerek has done with this group, and Hyder's been a big piece to it. It'll be nice to get him healthy. And I mean, we're just talking about 3 interior defensive linemen. The 49ers have already had one of the best run defenses in the entire league, and now you're potentially going to have all 3 of these guys back into the rotation for the playoffs. I think that's very good news for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, let's talk about Bosa, because Nick Bosa missed practice, but don't be too concerned. Bosa and Mitch Wisnowski, the punter, missed practice because they are ill. It seems like maybe a little bit of illness going through the 49ers organization and roster, as we had Charvarius Ward being suffering from nausea in the game on Saturday, and then you had Jordan Mason being ill on Monday, and now you have Nick Bosa and Mitch Wisnowski, and we know there's a flu going around, especially in Northern California. I had it a couple of weeks ago, so it's no joke. But these players are going to be able to deal with it and overcome, and hopefully they'll get back out there. So I expect Bosa to be out there pretty soon, maybe get in a light practice sometime this week. But you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to be out there getting after the Raiders. He's got an Aldon Smith record to break, and he wants to get it done. Brock Purdy is full participant in practice, and that's big news because he's been recovering from the oblique strain and cracked rib, and he was battling through. And it seems like it was so long ago that against Seattle he was out there gutting it out, but you can see him consistently getting more comfortable and getting more healthy. And now that he's a full participant in practice, I'm very optimistic about Brock Purdy being able to do everything that he's asked. And you know what? Right now, he's been operating at a high level. So it's good to see Brock Purdy back and healthy. Now, flipping it over to the Raiders a little bit, big news coming out of Las Vegas as Derek Carr has been benched. They're going to go ahead and put him on the sideline. And what a big move that is, as Derek Carr is one of the most dangerous weapons in the league. Has he been inconsistent? Yes. 14 interceptions is not a good year by any means, but with his relationship with Devontae Adams, he at least gives you a chance to win every week. They've decided to go a different route. And what is that route? Well, it's backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham's going to take the helm. He's played for Josh McDaniels before at New England, so he understands the system and understands what is going to be expected of him in this offense. So they decide to go away from Derek Carr and to Stidham. Stidham, this is his first career start. Not a lot of, ability there. I mean, as far as what we've seen in the NFL, he had a pretty good career in college playing for Auburn, but he's thrown 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in his short career. So Stidham will be at the helm, and that's who Nick Bosa is going to be getting after. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't know how it'll work out for the Raiders, but hey, we'll see. Maybe There's something here that Josh likes about Stidham, and he's ready to go that direction. So no Carr, it's going to be Jarrett Stidham in this game. And more big news out of Las Vegas as Chandler Jones, I mean, just the all-world, all-pro edge rusher. We played against him for many years when he was with Arizona. His season has officially come to an end. He has been placed on IR, and he's not the only one. The other one is also middle linebacker Denzel Perryman. So the Raiders are suffering some huge losses here. It's really tough, and this is going to weaken their defense significantly. The 49ers are getting healthy, and teams like the Raiders are really struggling. So it's going to be very, very frustrating for the Raiders, and I think this is good news for the 49ers as far as being able to operate, within the offense. You never want to see a player get hurt. And Chandler Jones is a very significant player to their team. Do they still have playmakers on defense? Absolutely. They still have guys that can get it done. But, these are big news things coming out of Las Vegas. Now, more news for the 49ers. Of course, last week they cut Curtis Robinson to be able to make room to bring up other defensive linemen. And this week they went ahead and brought Curtis Robinson back. He's on the practice squad. It's a significant move because Curtis Robinson was somebody the 49ers valued enough, especially on special teams, that they kept him. They ended up putting him on the IR. They kept him on the 53 and put him on the IR so that way they could stash him and keep him. And he was one of the IR designations that came back. He was one of the 8. And it's been a lot of conversation and talk about whether they should have used it on him. But they get him back to the practice squad where he can continue to add value. And I do believe he's got a place here in San Francisco over the next couple of years. He's going to be competing next year with Oren Burks and some of the other guys for a linebacker spot. He's big, physical, and fast. And those are the kind of linebackers that D'Amico Ryans and this defense likes to develop. D'Amico may not be here, but the next regime will still continue to develop linebackers around Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. So Curtis Robinson coming back, very important for the San Francisco 49ers. And what a great news update as the San Francisco 49ers are getting healthier and healthier. The return of Deebo imminent. Elijah Mitchell coming soon. And then just the talks of, Kevin Givens and other players. This is good news for the 49ers. They're ramping it up as it gets time for the playoffs. We're ramping it up here on the channel as well. Excited for all 49ers news. Thank you guys so much for coming through and checking out the 49ers news update right here on 49ers Cutback. Really appreciate you all. If you haven't had the time, but if you would, please go ahead and like the video. That'll help it get out to other 49ers fans. And hit the subscribe button if you want more updates just like this or other content, including the Ant Hill Show or Cover 2. There's lots of different perspectives coming from different people, and I hope you guys all will check it out. Peruse a little bit on the channel, but thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Stay safe, and remember the right way is always the 49ers way.